There's a quiet assumption most people carry without ever questioning it, that introverts are simply quiet people, less talkative, less social, maybe even less confident. But that assumption misses something deeper, something far more interesting. Because what looks like silence on the outside is often a very different experience on the inside. An introvert isn't necessarily someone who has less to say. More often, they are someone who is processing more before they say anything at all. Their mind doesn't just skim across conversations, it lingers, observes, connects patterns. While others may respond quickly, introverts tend to absorb first, almost like they're collecting pieces of a puzzle that doesn't need to be rushed. This is why one of their less obvious traits is a kind of selective depth. They may not engage in every conversation, but when something truly captures their attention, they go all in. It's not about being distant, it's about being intentional. Their energy isn't scattered, it's directed. And energy, for introverts, works a little differently. Social interaction, even when enjoyable, often comes with a hidden cost. It's not always anxiety or discomfort, it's stimulation. The human brain is constantly filtering information, and for some people, that filter is more sensitive. Sounds, expressions, subtle shifts in tone, they all register more intensely. Over time, this creates a kind of mental saturation. So when an introvert steps away or becomes quiet, it's not necessarily withdrawal, it's regulation, a way to reset the nervous system in a world that rarely slows down. Interestingly, this sensitivity also gives them an unusual advantage, an ability to notice what others overlook. Small inconsistencies, unspoken emotions, the subtle difference between what someone says and what they actually feel. It's not that they're trying to analyze everything. It just happens naturally, like their attention is tuned to a quieter frequency. This is why many introverts appear calm on the surface, even in situations that feel overwhelming. They've spent a lot of time learning how to manage their internal world. Not perfectly, but enough to create a kind of emotional independence. At the same time, this inward focus can make them surprisingly self-aware. They tend to reflect on their own thoughts, question their reactions, and revisit past experiences. Not to overthink everything, but to understand it. For them, identity isn't fixed. It evolves through observation. But this depth also creates a quiet contradiction. Introverts often crave connection just as much as anyone else, sometimes even more. The difference is in the kind of connection they're looking for. Surface-level interaction can feel draining, not because it's meaningless, but because it doesn't align with how they experience the world. They're not avoiding people. They're searching for something that feels real. And when they find it, something shifts. They become more expressive, more open, even more energetic. It's a side of them that doesn't always show up in crowded spaces, but it exists nonetheless. There's also an interesting relationship between introversion and creativity. When external noise is reduced, internal activity becomes more noticeable. Ideas, memories, abstract connections, they start to form more clearly. This is why solitude for many introverts isn't loneliness. It's a space where thinking becomes more fluid. Of course, not everything has a deep psychological explanation. Sometimes people simply prefer quiet over noise, solitude over constant interaction. Not because of hidden trauma or complex emotional patterns, but because it feels right to them. Human preferences don't always need to be analyzed to be valid. And yet modern life often pushes in the opposite direction. We live in an environment that rewards visibility, speed, and constant engagement. Speaking quickly is seen as confidence. Being everywhere is seen as success. In that kind of world, introversion can feel like something that needs to be adjusted, or even fixed. But maybe it's not a flaw at all. Maybe it's just a different way of experiencing the same reality, where one person finds energy in external stimulation, another finds clarity in stillness. Where one expresses thoughts immediately, another refines them quietly before sharing. Neither is more correct. They're simply different responses to the same environment. And that difference matters more than it seems. Because when you begin to see introversion not as a limitation, but as a distinct way of processing the world, something changes. The silence no longer feels empty, the pauses start to carry meaning, even the need for space begins to look less like distance and more like awareness. In the end, human behavior isn't something that fits into neat categories. It's layered, fluid, and shaped by countless small factors we rarely notice. Some people move outward to understand the world, others move inward, and both, in their own way, are trying to make sense of the same thing.